Well, we are in the season of governance. And so there is some activity for dental news happening out there, but not a ton. So, as you know, the ADA got together over the weekend and finished installment of officers just early this week. So, it's been an active time for the American Dental Association. Lots of resolutions were discussed. I'm still hoping and waiting to get further information. There's a few in particular that I'm very interested in as we head towards the AGD governance session, which is happening in mid November. So, this is the season where most dental organizations are getting together, making decisions, and looking at policies and procedures to understand better how to move forward and to keep our organizations that are supposed to serve the needs of their members well. So hopefully we'll have additional good news to report. But lots of great officers were installed. The ADA is continuing to move in a positive direction. And we'll just wait to see what comes out of the House's decision. I'll keep you posted as soon as I know. Other news that came up is completely outside of dentistry, but I think relevant to most of us. And that was the decision that the government made just yesterday to modify the tax brackets slightly related to inflation. So if you haven't discussed this with your CPA yet or didn't know that it happened, I certainly would encourage you to do so. They have actually upped a lot of the tax steps as they go along in about a 7% adjustment to relate to the current inflationary pressures on income. That being said, the one thing that I did observe in some of the articles that I think is worth noting for your taxes in 2023, itemized deduction opportunities may be modified. So it is definitely worth a discussion with your CPA, both first to see where you fall within these adjusted tax brackets and if you need to make any adjustments from that standpoint. But in addition, if itemized deductions are going to be modified, it could change your tax liability as well. So it looks like this could be a bit of a moving target, certainly for most dentists who are often affected by these changes, sometimes in a not so positive way. I definitely would encourage an additional quarterly visit with your CPA to discuss how these changes are going about. I would say give them just a little bit of time as this was just announced yesterday, but certainly something that is going to need additional attention. There was an article that came out this week in JAMA, the Journal of American Dental Association, talking about, or JADA, talking about dental health aid therapists and their effects and impacts in Alaska. I do think this is an interesting read because it talks a lot about how dental health aid therapists have been a positive additive to the dental workforce in Alaska, and that they've been able to serve the needs of communities that were currently underserved. And this is an interesting take because we have continued to evaluate dental health aid therapists and their potential role in the dental professional tiered community. And are they an added benefit or not? Many of the articles and research studies that came out from other countries that had added mid-level providers did not necessarily present the outcome in a favorable light. So it is worth looking at the Alaska study to say, is there something unique about Alaska that makes dental health aid therapists more effective in that particular community? Is there something they're doing right that has made that more successful? Is the data accurate to correctly reflect what is happening in those communities as compared to the communities that we saw in New Zealand, for instance? So I think it does warrant some additional investigation because there is a lot of pressure and a lot of potential legislation that is being proposed for mid-level providers. I know we've been talking about this for, I don't know, going on 10 years now, looking at what a mid-level provider might look like for the dental profession. And there's been certain studies and white papers that have been drafted both by the ADA and the AGD looking at the impacts of mid-level providers to our profession. I think this Alaskan study is the first contradictory research article that we've seen compared to the other articles that have come out from other countries that have introduced the mid-level provider. So I think this is certainly a chance for us to continue to look at the science and research more into those communities to find out what makes each of them unique and why in this particular scenario it's been deemed successful. And with that, that's the news.
All right, I'm coming back. So, JD, any mention of what might happen with the 179 deduction expense? Because if there could potentially be some changes to the 179 deduction, which is, that's been really the big tax advantage for most dentists in being able to buy equipment at the end of the year, then would it not be prudent for people to really get some equipment this year as a tax strategy? Just curious what your thoughts are on that.
So it doesn't look like they've dealt with anything related to corporate tax deductions, which would be things like the Section 179. There was also the Section 139, which was unique for the COVID years, where you could write off additional things that you were having to do. For instance, if you were having to homeschool your kids or provide virtual support, or hire someone to come in to help you educate your children because they were unable to return back to school. There are some unique deductions available to corporations, S corps, LLCs, etc. That doesn't seem to be what's impacted. These are basic standard deductions that seem to be more impacted. So if you're writing off charitable deductions, medical expenses, those types of things might be impacted by mortgage interest, tax payments, etc. Those are the standard deductions that I think could be impacted by this current modification of the tax law. The other thing that is going to change, flexible spending accounts are going to go up. Earned income tax credit is also going to go up. Gift exclusions are also going to go up as well, and estate tax limits are going to be adjusted too. So it seems to be more focused on the personal tax income side, which will just be your pass through from the advantages you can take from a corporate perspective.